Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Appropriate Audiences. I'm your host, Haley Duran, and joining me this week is the always awesome Jake Troy and Michael Umbro.
How's it going?
This week, we'll be talking about the film, The Lego Movie. And just a quick synopsis for those of you who don't know, it's about an ordinary Lego named Emmett who is suddenly thrust into the situation where he's the only Lego who can save the Lego universe. And he has to grapple with the idea of, him thinking he's just this ordinary Lego, but there's really something extraordinary in him. So, what did you guys think when you saw the preview, or just going into it? What did you think before you watched the film?
Like right off the bat, Legos on like a movie for like an hour and a half plus, I was like, whoa, because I've seen like everyone who's like a beginning filmmaker always does this thing where they do like stop motion with Legos, and I honestly like love those things. But when they took it and they gave it a huge budget and it's like this, I was really excited. I was really excited to see this movie.
You know, going in, a movie about Legos, I don't know, man. But after watching it, I was pleasantly surprised, not just by the cuteness of the movie, but also the substance of the movie. And I thought they implemented a lot of things that really made it work. And, you know, there were some great voice actors, and the plot itself was good. It had some cute moments also, and I enjoyed it.
Personally, I am a huge fan of the Lego video games.
Oh, yeah.
They're always the best. They're always amazing.
Lego Star Wars.
Lego Lord of the Rings
I never
is
played that
amazing.
one. I never played that one.
But when I saw the preview, I was a bit nervous because the way they put the trailer together, it didn't look like it was going to be good at all. Like I couldn't find a plot. It just seemed like a really like slapdash kind of film. I'm like, oh well, this will be interesting.
You just knew that there were going to be good voice actors.
That's all I knew. Yeah, that was gonna be Chris Pratt, who's always funny, and that Will Arnett. But I didn't know who they were gonna be playing. Like when I figured out that Elizabeth Banks was gonna be Wildstyle, I was a bit nervous because Elizabeth Banks, I didn't understand how it was gonna fit. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, you kind of answered my question of like, were any of you surprised by the film? I mean, he, obviously was surprised. But,
Yeah.
So what about you?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good, really well done. I like the whole story, how like people are like builders and they follow the books, and everyone's following this like conformist ruler who's like very business oriented, and it's just like they're all, like they watch the same thing, they listen to the same song, they all do the same little like good morning dance thing. It was just a good movie. I don't know.
See, I kind of disagree with you. I mean, the film was cute, but I guess it was a different cute than I was going into it. Like I thought it was gonna be cute, like most animated movies. Like, oh, it's a cute kids film. I thought it was like a really good film. Like I thought it was just a really good movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe it as say cute. I would describe it as say everything is awesome. No, I would describe it as just like it was a really substantial movie, which is weird to say about a kids movie.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do like the fact that they had Emmett, an ordinary Lego, playing the main character, and having him come out to be actually extraordinary in the end. That's kind of like a Spielberg-type film, if you think about it, because in all of his movies, there's always the ordinary guy who plays the hero.
And
like E.T. and Jaws.
they like
Well, yeah, Aliens, totally normal.
Totally.
they like kind of made fun of though, like the hero's always like the most interesting man. They like when Morgan Freeman explains that like the special, he's this like the most interesting, fun, cool, awesome guy. He's gonna come. He's gonna find the crag. No, he's gonna stop the Craggle and just save the world. And then you meet Emmett, who is probably the most conforming of all of them. He has like the least persona, and he ends up becoming himself really by the end of the film. So it's really cool.
I mean, going off of that and what you were saying about how it has a very Spielbergian feel to it, I also thought it was incredibly interesting how the film commented on some pretty adult themes of conformity and complacency. So, what did you think about the themes and the messages of the film?
Well, like you said, the conforming one. Like a lot of people today, they figure like if I just follow the books and I just like be who everyone wants me to be, I'll get by. I'll just I'll manage myself. But like the way it kind of expresses it is like that's not a way to live. That's hardly living at that. And Will Ferrell being Mr. Business, that's all he wants. He just wants everyone to be who he wants them to be, and that's why he locks away all these people that are like creative, fun people, and he makes them come up with the instructions for people just to just build what he wants them to build, and in the end, I don't know. It just shows that like there's no reason to conform when being yourself is the best best thing for yourself. Yeah.
I agree with that, and I also like the message that was like, everybody has their own special thing about them. I think it sends out a great message and gives hope to some people who are, maybe down or trying to find themselves, I guess. But it sent a great message saying, like, everybody's talented at something. Everybody's good at something. You just have to find out what that is. And I thought Emmett was a great character that portrayed that.
It almost didn't feel like a kids movie. Like I remember when I was there in the theater sitting like watching the intro, I was like, wow, this was like really kind of like adult right now, like really mature, because like when they're all conforming and they're all doing their workings on, they're all driving the same car, like doing like everything in a row with each other. I was like, this kind of feels like a comment on how we're all very like very set with our routines and lives and don't ever really question what's going on. Like, I immediately thought of Starbucks, how everyone's obsessed with Starbucks. And, like,
Yeah,
you have to get your
the coffee
coffee.
thing, and it's
exactly.
super expensive.
Exactly. Like, that was an obvious comment
Yeah.
on, like, on stuff that, like, kids wouldn't, I don't think, necessarily get. So that's why I thought it was a very interesting intro, because I'm like, well, if you're sitting here as a parent with your kid, you're, like, obviously going to get that. But, like, the kid, I guess, is just going to find that funny. So I think it's interesting watching these animated movies now. As an adult, you're kind of like, well, if I was a kid, like, what would I think?
You can like really dissect like what was planned for kids and what was planned for adults. Like the good cop, bad cop. Like although we'll get most of it, like the kids just find it funny when he kicks the chair around, and like there's like the little explosions and things like that, and kids love that. But then for the most part, all the dialogue is almost all, for the parents or for like the kid that played with Legos when they were a kid and is now our age and watching it, and even older people understand. Like it's just like it's just funny. Yeah.
I think it's just crazy how kids these days are growing up a lot faster than you would think. I wouldn't, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if half of the dialogue that was intended for us adults was actually understood completely by a 5-year-old.
That's true.
Kids these days are just being exposed to so much compared to back in our day. Back in my day, we're young still, but
Back in my day.
like, say 15 years ago, I didn't know what was going on at all in my life ever.
That's a good point.
And it's just crazy how kids just start growing up and they're evolving to really know what's going on at a much younger age.
But it's so interesting how these animated films are geared towards adults and kids, and it makes sense though, because obviously you have to keep the adults who are with their kids entertained as well, and I think that's incredibly interesting.
I think they did a great job of doing that.
Exactly, and that's why I really like this film, I think, because it was a really good balance of keeping the kids entertained and laughing, and also for the adults. But you know what's really funny? I went to a midnight premiere of this,
Really?
and it was actually all young adults. I mean, it was 10 o'clock. It wasn't like midnight.
Yeah.
But so I guess you wouldn't see a lot of kids there. But at the same time, it was all like 18-year-olds and older. I thought I thought that was really interesting. So maybe the demographic for this film is
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if it was meant for more people.
I do feel like in our generation, we tend to really want to connect with our younger selves as much. I see a bunch of people my age who are like still playing Pokemon just for the sake of keeping their childhood. And I feel like, watching old Disney movies and all that kind of stuff, people just really, and I think when this movie came out, I thought kids, especially our age, would really take it in and think it would be an awesome film, and obviously it was.
I mean, I completely agree. I literally just downloaded the first 2 Crash Bandicoots and Spyro on my PlayStation just so I could relive my childhood. So
I still play Crash Bandicoot.
yeah, no, so
love that
I
game.
definitely agree with you that I think that we are
Spyro.
a very nostalgic generation.
Definitely.
So what did you, I mean, we've kind of touched on this with our conversation, but what did you guys think of the film in general, like overall, and like who they chose to be the voice actors and the script as well? Like, what did you guys just think of it as a whole?
Well, like with voice actors, like Will Arnett, I love him from Arrested Development. That's where I really see him. And so like, I think that they picked they were very specific with who they picked for this film, because I think that's where the demographic comes in. Like they picked the voice actors as like these people. Like I think people that watch like these more mature shows, they're gonna recognize the voices like right away. Because like Will Arnett is he's just mature. Like he's all his humor is. Sometimes it's not always dirty. It's more mature.
It definitely
Yeah.
is.
I feel like as they were writing this film, I feel like that a lot of the voice actors in here were typecasted from the start. Because honestly, I wouldn't have picked anybody else for any other part.
Yeah.
I thought everyone did great. Will Ferrell was great. Charlie Day was funny.
Oh my God,
Oh,
Charlie
man.
Day.
Charlie
was
Day was funny.
perfect.
Yeah.
And just everybody else, Morgan Freeman. Any movie with Morgan Freeman in it is going to be good.
And
so
Morgan
it's an
Freeman
automatic
as
win.
God, because he
Yeah.
is God.
Yeah.
He's the god of acting and narrating,
Exactly.
basically everything else. But voice actors were great. I thought the whole concept of the movie was great. I thought the substance was great, and I thought the messages were pretty cool too.
I mean, it's awesome. This film, I think, has a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
Or like
crazy.
when it first, before it premiered, it had 100%. So obviously it's gone down since it actually premiered. But yeah, it's crazy, and I think that says a lot that it has that high rating, because I think Toy Story has like 100%. So I mean, that's how good this movie
Yeah.
is, which is just mind blowing and awesome.
If you're keeping pace with Toy Story, then you probably have a really good movie.
Especially for a movie that I really thought was going to be terrible. Like when I saw the previews,
Yeah.
I
I feel like a lot of people were skeptical about it at first, but there are always those people who are like, yeah, watch this movie actually really good. And people will actually take that chance, like us. And, not knowing what to expect going in, and we were pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I feel like this movie survived a lot on like people's words because like I feel like there was a base amount of people that went to see it based on like I want to see this film because it looks good, and then everyone else who was like a little skeptical was like, oh well, how was it? And everyone I've ever talked to about
Yeah.
it like really agrees that it is a fantastic film.
Basically, that's how I kind of started to get into it more also, just by word of mouth.
yeah, I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about all the well-known characters in the film and how they were portrayed? Like, did you think it was interesting how they were, like, basically minor characters, how the writers focused less on characters like Batman and Superman and instead created, like, original characters to drive the story?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. They took like Superman and they almost right away like took him out. Like and Batman stayed in for a lot of it, but I
Yeah.
think that's just because everyone's like Batman, like Jesus.
I guess you need at least one.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps like some kids' attention right there, but they really did focus on people that aren't, like superheroes. But that I think that's what turned Emmett into a superhero was that they focused on him. He ended up like figuring out what he had to do, and in the end, like he was a superhero.
I agree with that, and I was also pleasantly surprised, only because going in, I thought it was going to be like the Lego version of the Avengers. Where
Yeah.
with Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. I thought the Green Lantern was funny. I thought he
Had
was
some
funny.
great
Jonah Hill.
moments.
Yeah, he's great.
He had some funny moments. But, going in and realizing, it's not just the Lego movie of the Avengers. This is actually very well thought out. As character-wise, I thought, it was a good move.
I mean, you make a really good point. If you're going to make a movie about how, being ordinary is something extraordinary, you can't have the main character be Batman. You can't have the main character be a well-known superhero. It has to be this, just kind of
Emmett.
average guy.
Emmett, yeah.
Yeah, Emmett, exactly.
And Chris Pratt, it's like he's very in the spotlight right now, but he's got like almost like a normal guy voice.
He's very average
Yeah,
guy. Like I don't
yeah.
know if you watch Parks and Rec. I do.
I love
that
Parks
show.
and Rec, yeah.
And on that show, he plays. I
He's
mean,
a-
he's
He's
kind
a
of
mess,
dumb,
yeah.
but he plays a very average, normal guy.
Yeah.
So I thought it was perfect. The casting, I agree, was just a perfect choice on that. So we're going to change gears and take a quick look at Notorious Netflix with myself and Matt McGroarty, where we talk about the lovely experience that is Spy Kids 4.
Oh, God.
Hello, and welcome to Notorious Netflix, a program dedicated to showcasing some of the worst movie masterpieces Netflix has to offer. I'm Matt.
And I'm Haley.
Did you grow up thinking, hey, I want a fourth Spy Kids movie?
No, you didn't.
Well, folks, Robert Rodriguez decided to make another one. So here we are, Spy Kids, all the time in the world.
Spy Kids 4 starts off with Jessica Alba as a spy in labor following the evil villain, the Timekeeper. Joel McHale also pops up as the father of the soon-to-be Spy Kids, which is weird. I thought thought he was better than this.
Then we have a time skip of 2 years.
Which brings us to the true plot. The timekeeper escaping, and the world quite literally running out of time.
And from there, folks, it only gets more and more ridiculous.
Oh, and guess what? There are loads of time puns. Too many time puns. I am ticked off at the time puns. In almost every scene, there is a time pun. It's too many time puns. I can't handle it.
And with time puns comes horribly explained time travel. First, the spy agency does a time travel experiment gone wrong, trapping a young boy. The boy watches his father die before his eyes, before a meteor crashes down, allowing the agency to obtain a crystal to stop the time-freezing device. Seems okay so far, right?
Wrong. At the end, we find out that the boy was the timekeeper's assistant, the head of the spy agency, and literally every minion the timekeeper had.
Basically, the timekeeper was mad his father died and decided to go back in time numerous times, because he failed a couple times, a lot of the time, to make sure he could spend time with him. In the end, he succeeds, but he comes back only to find out he couldn't stop his father from dying.
Who knew people died? I get that this is a kid's movie, but my God, that plot hole makes no sense no matter how you look at it. In fact, there are a lot of silly scenes that don't make much sense or made Matt and I cringe.
But you know what? Let's look at some of the positives. First off, Rodriguez's theme of Hispanic heritage that was in the first 3 movies is sort of still there. Representation is always good.
And the main boy spy has a hearing aid, and you rarely see people with disabilities in the movies succeeding in doing things. And the 2 original Spy Kids make important cameos, so that's also pretty cool.
There's also a couple blatant themes that are spelled out for you. Loving your parents regardless of them being step-parents or your biological parents, because they love you, and you never know just how long you'll have with them.
And ultimately, that we should look to the future and not dwell too much on what we can't change in the past.
Despite all of the good themes for children, this movie's still lacking in a lot of ways. Pixar, for example, makes movies that are primarily targeted at children, and their movies are incredibly complex, yet simple enough for everyone to enjoy. Spy Kids is not that movie. Kids might dig the concept, but I think overall children deserve a better movie.
And we really didn't need a Spy Kids sequel 7 years after the 3rd movie, did we?
I give Spy Kids all the time in the world. 3 Robo-Dogs out of 5.
And I give it 4 Joe McHales out of 5.
Before we finish here, Haley and I both want to touch on something. I'd like to share a little tidbit for everyone to think about. Machete, of Machete and Machete Kills fame, is the estranged uncle of the original Spy Kids, meaning that Machete and Spy Kids exist in the same universe.
Truly, this is genius. I mean, I demand a crossover.
Let's think of Junie here for a second. Let's have Haley do a little rant about that.
And I was going to mention this earlier, and it just slipped my mind because it makes me so angry.
It's okay.
I was glad that they were there, that Junie and Carmen appeared, because
The original Spy Kids.
the original Spy Kids, because I do love them so much. But Junie is so ugly, I couldn't watch his scenes because, dear Lord, he was a cute little child, but no, he did not age well. No.
It's the curly hair, honestly.
No.
Anyway, that's all for this week's Notorious Netflix. Check us out next time for more horrible movie masterpieces.
So, let's talk about that ocean sequence.
Yeah.
Was anyone else bothered by the animation? Or was it just me?
It was so abrupt. Like, when they hit the ocean, like, I mean, you kind of knew where it was going. But then all of a sudden, very blocky, to me, it just looked so much different than everything else. It was really confusing. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
But I feel like it was just their attempt to try and make the ocean look like as Lego look-alike as possible. And I don't want to say they epically failed, but yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't come out good. But at least they put the effort in there, and I guess we can all kind of grasp that concept just by watching.
Because I agree. I understand that oceans are, inherently choppy, and it was supposed to be a very, the sea is going crazy right now, and we're going to go under and stuff like that. But it just was too choppy. It was too upsetting. It really looked like the rest of the movie, the entire movie was CGI, and that one
Mhm.
part was stop
Yeah.
motion, and it was really unsettling. Like, I remember my friend who I saw it with, we both turned to each other and we were like, is that ocean bothering you too? Yeah, we're like,
Yeah,
what's going
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The ocean's anti-conformist. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on here.
Yeah, that was the only thing that bothered me about the film, that just the way that ocean was animated really was off-putting to me.
Mhm.
So it's probably why I got a 97 and
Yeah.
not a 99 or a 100. That
what
one
the
little
hell's going on with the ocean, guys?
Nope.
That's like the one flaw with the movie. I mean, if that's your only flaw, then I don't see that as a big flaw anyway.
No.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like a
see it as
5-minute
big
scene.
deal.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
I had completely forgotten about it until I was thinking of, what to talk about with this film, and I was like, oh, that ocean. That ocean needs to be talked about. But, we've said a lot of good things, I think. But what did you think about the ending? How it was suddenly live animation. And it was revealed that the movie up until that point was a story within a story.
I feel like the whole movie itself, like I felt like there was something missing from it almost. Like it's not like it wasn't a surprise. I mean, it's not like it wasn't a surprise. Yeah. It definitely surprised me when he fell off the table.
Yes.
Basically, and you find out like the whole world has just been a little kid messing around with his dad's Lego set, and who happens to be Will Ferrell also.
Exactly.
Surprise! Spoiler. I should have said something. Don't watch. No. But I don't know. Once they popped in, I feel like that's when the real like moral message came in.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's when it really be yourself. Like be creative. Like there's no reason to follow the book. But I feel like Legos are made not really. I mean, obviously there's the aestheticism of, if that's a real word, aestheticism. I don't know. Aesthetic of like making a house or a car or some Star Wars ship. But like when you get to just like be yourself, like I remember I used to be in like a little daycare thing where they'd throw a little box of Legos at you. I'd put like, the base is always the same. You gotta have like the axle and the wheels, but the rest, that's up to you. You know what I mean? I always made the weirdest car. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah. I really liked that plot. I liked that twist where it just suddenly went to live action with Will Ferrell and whoever played his kid. I thought that it just caught everybody off guard, and I liked how the little boy represented Emmett, and then I liked how Will Ferrell represented, even though we knew that already, considering he was the voice actor the entire time. But I just really thought that was a good way to get the message out there and really kind of just touch everybody, because Legos can only be so dramatic. They're
Mhm.
Legos.
Yeah.
So I think it was good the way they brought they brought people into it and kind of really acted out the entire message and experiencing their true feelings. So I feel like that was a good way to get the message out there.
I mean, personally, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize this movie was going to be that deep. I didn't realize there was going to be that many layers. Like, when you see Will Ferrell for the first time, I was like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. Like, I remember sitting there and I was just like, okay, good move, Lego movie, good move, touche.
Yeah.
Touché.
Like, it just, I mean, it took me a while to, like, realize that obviously, even though the kid was kind of controlling the entire story, there was still obviously, the Legos were still obviously controlling some component of it, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, if Emmett fell off the table, like, how did the girl know to, like, give the whole death speech if, like, the kid didn't notice that if, like, the little boy didn't notice that the Lego had fallen off? But I was like, wait a second, it's a Lego movie. Let's not go that
Yeah.
It's deep, but it's not that deep. Let's not
Let's not go crazy.
let's not go crazy.
This isn't philosophy.
Exactly. But no, I completely agree. It really solidified the idea that the entire point is, like, yeah, Legos, you can make them perfect and neat, but you're supposed to have fun with them. You're supposed to create crazy worlds and
That's the point. You have to
Exactly.
be creative as possible. Even I wish I had Legos right now. I would do such
we should have
crazy
been
things
playing
with
with
Legos.
Legos.
Guys,
should
cut
have
it.
them on
we're going,
set
we're
right
actually
now.
leaving right now. We're gonna go play with Legos.
Spaceship?
Yeah.
Spaceship, space. Oh my gosh, that reminded me of Portal.
You're on
So
set. You
much.
can't build a spaceship. Damn.
Okay, guys. So I have to ask, and even though I am pretty sure I know what your answers are going to be, would you recommend people seeing the movie?
No. No. Of course I would recommend to see this movie. It's fantastic. I don't know where to look, but it's good. It's good. Go see it. Why not? Why not? Yeah.
I agree with him 100%. Go see it, or you're missing out on something really cool.
Exactly.
Seriously, go see it now. Don't even just stop watching.
Yeah.
Go see it right
what are
now.
you doing?
You really, I mean, there's
Come on.
just, it's fantastic. Honestly, I'm probably gonna buy it when it comes
Yeah.
out. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
it's a buy one.
It definitely.
It's see
is.
it. It's buy the DVD. Show it to
Watch
your
it 1,000
family.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never watch anything else ever again
Yeah.
in your life.
There's
Just-
some pretty quotable moments, so
Everything
it's
is
worth
awesome.
watching. Yeah.
Everything is cool
I
when
love
you're
that
part
song.
of a team. Everything is awesome. Anyways, okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for being awesome guests.
Thanks for having us.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Well, that's all we have this week for Appropriate Audiences. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. See you next week.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we live in our dream. Everything is better when we stick together. Side by side, you and